Hey guys, it's Will here. So I'm going to go through the markets and then talk about some of the strong sectors and so here we go. If we look at the markets, they're doing all right. They're kind of flat. If we look at the charts here, I've got the 50-day moving average and the 21 exponential. You can see it's kind of flat, but it's above. It's still above the momentum here. The price percent oscillator is declining. And the relative strength compared to the S&P, but it's still hanging in there. The Russell 2000 has picked up in the last few days. You can see here, but and we're above the 50, so there's been a little bit of strength there. You can see the price percent oscillator momentum cracked up here a little bit, but it's been in this kind of channel flat period for quite some time. So you see how this uptrend is kind of what you want. So I noticed that when the candles are above the 21 in a nice sloping uptrend of the 50 and the 20, that's their best bet. So when you get these breakouts here, that's the early stage, but you can see this nice uptrend here. So if you're drawing a trend line, you got things in a nice 45-degree angle, that's a nice area. Once you get past that point and you're kind of flat, this has a lower high here from here to here, but these are higher highs slightly, so it's kind of a wedge pattern. S&P 500 is in a nice uptrend on the 50, but the momentum has been down. It's starting to cross back up here, so it's not looking too bad. And then we have the NASDAQ, which is picked up again as well. You can see the price percent oscillator crossed up here. And we're back up above the 50 after this pullback. So that's looking pretty good as well. If you want to get TC2000, which is what I'm using here, check out the link in the description. You get a free trial or $25 off if you sign up. And I've got the gold plan and that in real-time data, and that gives me access to such things as the pre-market here, which is 6:45 a.m. right now in Eastern time, and you can see the candles for today starting on a lot of stocks and ETFs. And that's one nice feature. So these are watch lists that I've created. So I've got a watch list for the market and the VIX and the US Canadian exchange rate. I've got another tab. So this is nice on TC2000. I've got these different tabs. And so you can put a lot of information, and each one is a different watch list. So here I've got various sectors that I've chosen. So if you scan for sectors, you're going to get all the ETFs. So I wanted to pick ones that I'm interested in. So I don't want like a whole bunch of the same one or triple leveraged in this one, stuff like that. So I don't want to see all that stuff. So I've picked mostly things that, that I would be interested in. So for any watch list, you can click on the scan button and you can pick conditions that you want to scan for: volume, price, moving averages. So I've sort of picked relative strength, strong relative strength. And those are, metals and mining, financials, commodities, that type of thing. So let's look at uranium is looking good. If you pull back here, you're in a nice strong uptrend. There are quite big ups and downs in this. So if you're up here, up high off of the moving average, you're probably going to see the pullback here. So, you can tell here where I've got the lines. People have picked it up at the 50-day moving average or the 21 EMA. You can see here there's support again right now at this 21. Corn had a big pullback. You see how high it gets when it goes parabolic and it gets way up about the 21 or off the 50. You tend to get a pullback here. And now you seem to have support at the 50. So if you're looking at momentum, even though you have a downtrend, The question is whether you want to get in if you see support at the 50, or if you want to wait to see. So there's a bit of a hook here. It's hard to see, but you start to see a flattening out, and it starts to curl back. So if you wait for the cross, a lot of times it's a bit further ahead. And we have metals and mining. As I mentioned, that's in a nice uptrend. Seem to have support at the 21 right here. But, people pick this up down at the 50s a lot of times as well. Steel, SLX, it's pulling back right here. You don't know if it's going to, you see the downward declining in the momentum here on the steel. So you might want to wait to start to see strength on the uptrend. Regional banks have been doing well, and XLF financials are doing well as well. So here we have soybeans and a commodity index as well. So you see this crossing back and forth of the price percent oscillator. So here would have been a good entry point. Ride that up, and you can start to see it curling and flattening, so it might pick up again. Real estate's been pretty good in terms of an uptrend. LIT is a lithium ETF, so you can see the metals and mining and stuff. So now we're back up over the 50, and the 50 days curling back up again. So another area that's picking up, it isn't quite at the point of triggering the conditions, the scans, is the tech and the alternative energy. So if you look at Clean, so for any of these ETFs, what you can do is in TC2000 is click on the component watch list and see all the stocks within. So you can see solar edge. NIU is the car company. Lithium, like I mentioned, is coming back up over the 50 now. So we had this downtrend. So you can draw like a line like this, and when you're breaking the downtrend with some upward trend lines, that could be a good entry point. So that's a nice feature of TC2000. So when I talk about the sectors, you can go and find individual stocks that are strong if you want within that sector, using the same basic criteria. But I've noticed that like there's support or there's moving up here, but you got to get past the 200 and also the 50. In the 50 is down sloping, so it's a little tricky when you buy back in after a huge downtrend in terms of looking at charts. Other people will buy dips and things, but that's the tricky part. But if you see like here you have this line, like a low point, you can buy in if you wanted to, but there's a bunch of resistance with the moving averages. And once you get above this, and ideally the 50 is moving up, that would be a good entry point, a little bit more conservative. But I noticed like cannabis, same thing, had a big downtrend. It's still, a bit risky in that sense that you've had this big, huge uptrend and now you're in a downtrend with lower highs. But cybersecurity is another one that's it's really good. It's strong. 50 days curling back up again. So some of the tech, you got cloud computing, the ARK funds, same thing. They're in a downtrend. You're closing in on all the moving averages. So, it might be a bit more time, but we've had this pull up here, pull up from the pullback here. And, the question is whether this is going to sustain itself, because the NASDAQ looks kind of strong right now. It's coming back. So, the other thing is emerging markets. So the US dollar has been declining. So emerging markets, have been picking up. For example, China. It's all the tech and the emerging markets and things are doing the same thing, where they had this big pullback and now they're all just poking up above the moving average, the 50, the 200. So it might be a good time, soon, to get into those. markets that have been hit by, this huge pullback. And, we're starting to establish potentially another higher low here. But we'd want to get ideally above these moving averages here, which we're just about to be doing. So keep an eye on those, the tech stocks, the cannabis, the solar, biotech. Let's check that out. So we've had this huge run and then this pullback, but we've supported at the 200, and we're now just about to get above the, see, we're above the 50 here, but didn't quite make it. So we're still in this downtrend here, and it might take a bit more time. And we'll see what happens with that. But just if you want to get in on some earlier entries in terms of after a pullback, that would be things to consider. All right, that's all I want to say pretty much. For any of these, you can, like I said, drill down and look at, individual stocks in the biotech sector or whatever sector is showing to be strong. You can get TC2000 in the description of the video below. There's a link to get a free trial or $25 off subscription. I've got US real-time data, so I can see the real-time prices and pre-market information before the market opens. So if you see something that is in a pre-market situation, you can go down to 10-minute chart. You'll see a gray area here, and you'll see more detail about the pre-market or post-market as well. It works after 4 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully you guys got some use out of that, and we'll talk to you in the next video.